So I've taken the oil pump out just to give a quick look. Usually this little check ball leaks and fills up the engine. It goes something like banjo bolt, that goes into a hole. I mean, whatever, it's fine. Took the top off. This is mostly for posterity, so I remember there's two little shims in there. I'm gonna get a new seal. I measured it. I think it's 21 by 10 by 5. I was going to separate this deal, but it doesn't want to come apart, and I don't really want to force it. I don't think there's a whole lot in there that's super serviceable beyond this. The shaft down here doesn't look great, a little rusty. When I took the seal out, there was some corrosion, watery goop in there. So that's cool. That's usually what you want. Also noticed, in my infinite wisdom, here, where this goes to the side cover, there was no gasket. I didn't put one there. Probably because they were hard to find back then, and I was poor and or lazy, or all the above. So I'm going to get a gasket for that. I'm going to try and find some new washers for this banjo bolt. That's a bleeding plug. And then rebuild this thing, put it back together, see how it works. Dirty, but should work, I think. Your check ball goes in that hole. Slightly out of focus, but you get the idea. Wasn't satisfied with leaving this apart, so we're going to try and take it apart. There's some seals inside of here that need to be replaced, and I'm not doing anything else. There we go. Behold, a pump. And there was a gasket in there. It's just super flat and old. Okay, well, there's a place in the UK. They sell a rebuild kit for this. Not 100% sure it's going to work. Not 100% sure that it'll even get here. Seals, at least, are semi, I don't know, reliable. You can replace them. So I'll measure that. We'll get another one of those. Looks a little gross. Kind of dirty. That's great. As for this, try and press out the bottom part, which probably won't happen because this is a little rusty. I don't know if you can see that, but let me get my parts organized-ish. And then try and press this out. Thrust washer. Shim, don't know. But now, if it focuses, you can see little ratcheting teeth in there. Maybe I can pop that gear out, and then these little pins will spring out, probably get lost. I'll never have to see them ever again. Then I'll have to go on eBay and buy an entire new pump. Thought I was kidding. Okay. 2 pins. Gear. 80% probability this never goes back together ever again. Okay, so our pins go in there. You can see the holes kinda, but we are not there yet. I got to do a lot of work on getting this out, and that's boring. But if you have one of these and you need to get it out or service it or whatever, this is 90% apart, and there you go. There's some good resources on the internet as far as guides and service manuals for these. If anybody has one of these sitting around, let me know. Part 2, it's out. Looks like there's a little shim back in here. I just took a lot of wiggling, and really I didn't want you to see me grab that thing with pliers, which is exactly what I did. But I think I can clean it up. Really finely machined, hard surface, and didn't want to do that. Had to. You gotta do what you gotta do. Are there marks on the shaft? Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple. But seeing as how this pump really wasn't doing a whole lot of anything, and this shaft is pretty not great anyway, I may try and find just one of these. I don't know. You can see in here there are tiny springs. Currently still have both of them. So later when I get back to this and I'm looking for those, they were in there. And then you can see the tiny marks on there. I'll take a little Scotch-Brite wheel essentially for the Dremel tool. We'll try and clean that out, buff it up. You can't really feel them, they just don't look pretty. Is there anything inside of this shaft? Maybe, don't know. As far as the housing, it appears like we are completely stripped down. There is like a little bushing thing back in here. Not sure if it comes out. Doesn't look like it's moving. So we'll probably call it good enough on that. And now I'm going to measure this seal, see if I can find this gasket. I know we need this gasket. Then I'll look through a manual and see just exactly what parts I'm missing and how this thing goes back together. Some quick no glove amendments, wavy shim type thing down there, and then inside of there I did pull out this little guy, a tiny little seal. If you look over here, the two springs are out, the two little pins are out. I think this thing is stripped down. So I'm going to clean up the rough edges best I can, see what I think. And then obviously I'm going to put it back together and run it, because I'm not going to buy a whole new $300 pump. And pumps are harder to find. People would take them off and just run premix, but don't want to do that. They're actually pretty good and easy to maintain, so we'll see what I can do. So here's what we have. I put zip ties so I wouldn't lose shims and spacers and things, but I haven't seen this anywhere and it's kind of cool. Do I know exactly what's going on? No, but basically you have your two parts. This pin rides on that ramp, and essentially that's your throttle cable that'll move that, I assume. And then if you look down there, that end of this rod goes up and down in that hole controlling oil output somehow, mix in magic and whatever, but pretty cool, kind of genius. We've got on this side, what do we have? I think just a shim and wavy washer on the bottom, big washer shim thingy on top, and then this has a tiny shim below that zip tie. So that's our assembly. It cleaned up pretty well, and I was able to get those little pins back in without losing them, which is pretty huge. It wasn't too bad. This is the MVP. Getting one in is easy. Put the wheel on and then hold the wheel kind of half on, half off, put the other one in, and it works out. So on to cleaning up the rest, getting seals, and then putting this back together. In the other aspect ratio, this is a side cover for a Yamaha DT250. Got it on eBay for like 40 bucks, and it came with all this stuff, so it was hard to say no. We have the oil cap, we've got the oil hose, we've got a good looking oil pump, I think. If you look in here, you can see a spring. It's compressed, kind of rusty. So not sure. My plan is to just take the oil pump off and have a little look. Looks like someone was in there before with the bleed screw. While we're here, we'll hop on over like 2 feet to the electrical station. And this, I'm not going to say what this looks like because the video will get banned. This device is a Milwaukee 12-volt battery with a step-down buck converter that's going to feed the voltage from the regulator to this converter, step it down to exactly 12.6 and 1.5 amps, and charge this battery so that hopefully we have a 12-volt system. Is it going to work? No clue. And then in this bag, carburetor, new reeds, all good to go. I'm waiting for one washer for that. So let's go back to the oil pump. I've got some light on so you can see that spring now. This wheel is the priming wheel. You can see that little rod moving a little bit. That goes up and down kind of like it should. If we bring that all the way down, that should go like that. So, does this work? Probably. Need to check that spring. I do have the rebuild kit. And we've got all the old parts over there. They've been sitting for weeks. Is everything still there? Probably not. Somehow pieces have assuredly gone missing. And it will never go back together. Good thing there's this one we can scavenge parts from, or vice versa. Like I said, this one looks a little bit better. The inside of this, very clean, very nice. That says 71. Fine. We'll get in there and have a look. Also, it came with this rubber grommet. Hard to find. Worth a lot of money. So that's kind of the update on the Yamaha 250 for now. Got it mostly broken down. A couple of things I want to point out. Haven't really dove into this yet. This seal goes here. Took it off. This was sitting in there. Don't know what it is. Some junk. Looks like paint from the original orange paint scheme. Otherwise, generally dirty, which is fine. We have our parts up here. General screws, banjo bolt, and the check valve. Spring ended up looking okay. That, and then in order, it goes this thing, that, there's a roll pin, big spacer, that. So, for my purposes, I was smart. Did not disengage this wheel from, hang on, its little ratcheting mechanism. You can see that pin in there. There's one in there buried under oil. There might be a little wavy washer in there too, not sure. But didn't mess with it. This shaft is a lot better than the other one. So definitely will be using that. Focus, thank you. And then in this one, wavy washer, regular washer. Haven't really looked into this too much. This seal needs to come out for the shaft to come out. The rebuild kit has these seals in it. Looks dirty, but otherwise probably fine. And then we have a new gasket that'll go here and where it mounts to the engine. So have all of those parts. If I recall, there is also an oil seal right there. Will this focus on it? Yes, sort of. That thing is an oil seal. Why is it sparkling pink? Don't know. Interesting. Why is it shaking? Because I can't hold my arm still. It's enough for now. I'm going to keep going. See what else I find. Otherwise, for my purposes, and maybe yours, here's 90% of the parts of the oil pump. This is a free advertisement, if you will. Here's what comes in the kit. It's from HVC Cycle. It did cost, in total, with shipping, $56.34. Is that a lot? Yeah, maybe. I had a hard time finding these little seals. The other one's not so bad, but definitely those gaskets after, you buy them on eBay and ship them and all that. This works fine, so it's okay. did a little bit of looking and cleaning. Started putting some things back together over here. I think this newish pump that I just took apart is the one that we're going to go with. It cleaned up pretty well. There's no major signs of any huge problems. This is a little bit yellow, but it's not a moving surface. It just mounts to the inside of the case. There's a little boss that sits on. So it's not like a worn bushing or anything. Inside came out looking pretty good. We just cleaned it with some acetone. I'll clean the holes, give it another bath, make sure it's all good to go. And then we'll start putting it together. As you can see, the old seals there, they didn't look bad in this one, but there definitely was junk. Again, this stuff, small, but it was definitely in the channels of the pump. Not great. So we'll start to put this back together, and if anything crazy happens, I'll pull the camera out, but otherwise it's an oil pump. It goes back together. Chances I don't get it 100% correct, 50-50. But I think we got it. I'll reference the parts diagram, and I took this one apart recently enough that I kind of remember. This old one that came out, much different odds, but basically they're identical, so shouldn't be any issues. Just real quick, end of the shaft on that one, end of the shaft on that one. Definitely a difference there. So overall, I think this one's a little bit less used, less worn. Judging by the case and everything else, not crazy. Makes sense. So this is the one that shall get the rebuild. Briefly, while we are here, note seal orientation. Kit comes with two of these seals that go in here. They're different diameters on the internal. The green one fits with my pump. I checked it against that. That's the other one, too small. So I just got a socket that fit that, pressed that in. This oil seal is in, it fits thusly, and then our outer oil seal also in. Goes something like that. So with that, oil seals are in. I also took the liberty of, they include a little Phillips screw, but it is stainless Allen with a washer, and they include that little washer for the bleeding bolt. Would be great if they included some washers for the banjo bolt, but I guess we can't be too picky. It's fine, sorry. Might try and clean that out a little bit. It's probably fine. But I just wanted to show you seal orientation. I'll get back to trying to put this thing back together. Somewhat amazingly, no spare parts, 2 pumps, some leftover pieces from the kit, miscellaneous seals and bolts because I put different ones in, but everything seems to work. This is the one that I'm going to use. This one, spare parts, or I'll do something with it. I did put stainless hex Allen bolts in the top of this, but you can see they do not interfere with this wheel. Slightly better perspective. That is all the way down, so that would be wide open throttle, meaning we're not going to be limited, which is very good news. However, for your edification, I did run into a problem whereas my ramp thing on this one was not returning well, and I believe it was hitting the roll pin. So when I put the roll pin back in, I made sure to put the split away from the part that goes up and down on it. And that allows decent movement. There's better videos on the internet of how these work, but I will attempt to show you basically what they do, and it's going to be noisy. So hold. So I'm going to hook a drill up here to the engine, and this shaft that goes up and down, that's the pump. That's the actual pumping mechanism. And you can't see it because this is with the throttle closed. But if the throttle was to go wide open, you see how it moves. The other one, more of the same, put the regular screws, does not have gaskets in it, and I reused the best looking of the seals, and I think it's fine. So I may get another gasket kit, try and sell it. Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. I'll probably sit in a bag and never be seen by anyone ever again. But that concludes the oil pump saga. I've got my gasket, got my oil line. I need some banjo bolt gaskets for the banjo bolt, and that's it. We have an oil pump that should work really, really well this time.